Alrighty, lads. We are back with some Warhammer 40K lore. This time, what the fuck is the Novamarines? Now, the Novamarines is a chapter that I find very interesting because I actually like their paint style. For those of you who do not know, their paint style looks like this. It is half blue, half white, except it's flipped, where one side is blue, one side is white, but then once you get to the waistline, that flips. It's very interesting colors to me because I always liked it when Space Marines weren't just one mono color. I liked it when they were a little bit more like, I would say, feudal knights, where they had flipped colors or maybe just weird, awkward colorings. And the main reason why is because, one, it looks more interesting, more stylistic. But two, it's just odd. It's just an oddity. It looks interesting. No issue with that. I like a little oddity in my life. So, hey, I'm an odd person. Now, the Novamarines. They hail from the world of Honorum, a very harsh, desolate place where life barely can survive. And, of course, this breeds pretty hardy tribal humans who are very tribalistic. You see, the humans on this world believe in tattooing themselves is embracing their soul, is guarding their soul. So if they do a great deed like slaying some serpent, they will tattoo that serpent onto their body, and they believe that when they die, that tattoo will go with their soul and will also provide some protection, but it also will just be a sign that, hey, this is my life's achievements, this is my worth of my life. And this has actually bled into the chapter, where now if you were to look at a naked Novamarine and a naked Space Marine, one, you would note that they have extremely big dicks because, oof, oh boy. Thankfully, they're castrated, so that would have been a problem. But you would also note that one is covered in tattoos, the other one has no tattoos whatsoever. This is, of course, the big difference between the two. Ultramarines and Novamarines are pretty much exactly the same. I'm not joking. This is the reason why you probably haven't heard of the Novamarines, or why you haven't really seen YouTube videos on Novamarines. It's just because, what else is there to say? They're basically like Ultramarines. Many Ultramarine successor chapters are like this, where there is very little dividing the two chapters. But there actually is a bit of meat in the Novamarines that we're going to dive into. So obviously, first things first, how do they fight? Codex Astartes. 100% Codex Astartes. To insult the Codex Astartes, they take that personally. So if you say you don't abide by the Codex Astartes, even to a light smidgen, or you may critique it a little bit, they will get very upset. Very upset. It's kind of like insulting the Bible in front of a bunch of Christians. You will definitely see the rage in their eyes. One of the interesting things about their battle tactics, though, that's very interesting to me is that when it comes to the Ultramarines, they're actually willing to work with some aliens. Like, they may work with the Tau temporarily. They may work with the Eldar. Same with just about most chapters. Like, the Blood Ravens at times had to work with the Orcs. They had to work with the Eldar. They've had to work with many factions. There are even Imperial Guard forces who sometimes are like, wow, these Necrons are beating our ass, and the Eldar are willing to help us? Okay, we'll work with them. Novamarines, on the other hand, are very harsh to Xenos. They are very xenophobic, much like a Black Templar. And it's kind of odd, especially now that they're spending a lot of time with Robert Gilliman, and Robert Gilliman actually has an Eldar friend. But it's easily explained when you look at where their world is. Honorum is located next to the Halo stars. And the Halo stars is much like the Ghoul stars. It's literally like maybe 3 paragraphs or 2 paragraphs describing the Halo stars and all the lore that we've ever been through. And it's exactly kind of like that. The only difference is that the Ghoul stars is desolate, but the Halo stars is old. It's ancient. That's the reason why these stars are so dim, so sparse, so barely populated. Now, with that being said, it has been rumored that many rogue traders and many Mechanicus expeditions have gone missing from unknown alien threats, from unknown warp entities, from pirates. But if that's true, that would explain why this chapter is so xenophobic. It would be like being under constant assault by strange entities that only one can guess is a Xeno species. Which would make sense. That would probably be the reason why their chapter's so xenophobic. Now, you may wonder, well, why is this chapter stationed there by themselves? And it's such a huge swath of space. How are they supposed to really conduct themselves? Well, that's the nice thing, is that ever since they were founded under the Captain Corvo. Now, Captain Corvo is actually a really badass individual. You should definitely go look at him. I'm probably going to do a lore video on him at some point. But he during the Horus Heresy, proved a huge amount of independence, I would say. In my opinion, he shows exactly what Robert Gilliman aspired in his Space Marine commanders. Independence, capability of taking charge, taking over, and then being able to reliably handle any situation dealt with them because they've been so well drilled in the Codex Astartes that they know how to operate. This, of course, was demonstrated with Captain Corvo. He was literally stranded on a world. And for 6 days, he actually ended up destroying a war titan, like an actual titan. He ended up blowing this shit to smithereens with whatever forces he had, stranded for 6 days against the word bearers of all people, which just goes to show word bearers suck. But that dedication showed that his company, the Nova Company, truly did deserve the Halo stars. They deserve honor them because being so far away from the chapter, they are trusted. They are respected to maintain the Ultramarine codes, the Ultramar way of living, the Ultramarine motto of abiding by the Codex Astartes and not really swaying to any sort of malign influences. And they've done that. The only influences they've succumbed to is just the tribal markings and a few other tiny interesting details, which we're going to cover here. You see, the Imperial laurels, the laurel wreaths that you would see on a Space Marine's helmet, whether they're drawn on there or whether it's an actual set of leaves on their head, now those usually mean something. Those usually means like, oh, I did a great deed, I did a great battle that resulted in victory for the Imperium, or I did some heroic deed by slaying a beast. Well, this chapter, they don't use it like that. They instead make it where anytime they send a Novamarine to Ultramar, anytime he goes to the altar of the Primarch, Robert Gilliman, anytime they get to that shrine, that means that they have successfully completed a pilgrimage where they can now have the laurels etched onto their armor. That's the only real difference. Like, again, there's like very minor differences, and in that regard, you can actually glean a lot of their personal life. Like, to them, the Imperial Laurel is more of a religious symbol, not more of a battle honor like other chapters have. Many scouts, when they're being grown up and recruited into the Novamarines, they're always told to idolize these laurels. And again, it goes back to their tribal traditions of tattooing things onto yourself. And by tattooing something onto their armor, like the laurels, that would actually be a very important soul thing for them. Because you have to remember, Space Marines color their power armor, and they decorate their power armor very personally. It's very much speaking to their identity. Now, as far as to the chapter's dealings with the wider Imperium, like, you may wonder, how does this chapter get along with the wider Imperium? What have they done in all their history since they are second founding? They're almost like 10,000 years old. They're a very old chapter. Well, that's kind of the thing, right? They are participants in a lot of campaigns, and it would be very difficult for me to recount them all, especially considering that there is always a contingent of Novamarines that follows the Ultramarines wherever they go. I'm not joking. There's many reasons why the Ultramarines are just so damn powerful, and one of them is just the fact that anytime their fleets go anywhere, it's not just them that's going into the fight. It's usually them and 10 other chapters, and maybe 20 other chapters on top of that, who are all going at the same time. So when you hear like, oh, the Ultramarines are sending 3 companies over to come attack this world. It's more like the Ultramarines are sending 3 companies. They're also sending 2 companies of someone else, 4 companies of another person, 1 company of someone else, 6 companies of another person. It's like, okay, so you're really getting fucked. Just letting you know now, you little Xeno bastard, you're really in for a curb stomping of a lifetime. And that's kind of where the Novamarines are. They never once, in their duty, ever breaking away from the Ultramarines. As I said, they've got very close ties to the Ultramarines. Now, that being said, since they live in the Halo Stars and they always are patrolling the area, it's very common for their chapter to be just absolutely scattered for hundreds of years. But yet, when they all come together, they don't seem any different. Nothing new has happened. Nothing really different has transpired. The only thing that really transpires is just a social interaction where the Novamarines will spend hours talking about each other's new tattoos, their new achievements, what travesties they may have fought that may have damaged one of their tattoos. And that's really about it. Now, it's kind of interesting, though, is that the Tau are one of the few alien species that the Novamarines really mobilized against. You see, it's very rare to see a Novamarine have more than 4 companies all together. But with the Tau, they actually had like 6, which is probably the most the chapter's ever deployed. Next to, of course, defending Ultramar. Because when they were defending Ultramar, it was like 8 companies, 9 companies, if I recall correctly. So Ultramar is very important, but killing those blueberries over there in that little tiny section of space, that's kind of more important. The fact that they would actually mobilize that much is kind of insane, considering the Badab War, they only sent like maybe 3 companies. It's one of those things that I always find interesting, is that you can always tell when a writer pays attention to the source material is when they put in small details like that. Like Badab War fighting other humans, we'll send like maybe 300 Marines, 400 Marines, that's fine. Oh, a very, very minor empire is growing and every goddamn chapter in the galaxy is going to fight it? Yeah, I'm going to just go all in on that as well. Because I really, really, really hate the Xenos. Any type of Xeno, doesn't matter. Doesn't really care either. As long as they breathe and they're not human, they're going to die. And that's pretty much how the Novamarines view things. I find that very funny that that's what it takes to mobilize their chapter. Oh, a threat that could destabilize all the Imperium? Whatever, who cares? Humans are humans, they'll do what they want. Oh, a very minor Xeno Empire might claim one single Imperial world? I just spit out all my fucking coffee. Let's go exterminate that dude. Why isn't he not dead yet? Yeah. That's essentially the Novamarine motto in life, and I like it very, very much. Especially when you consider that, again, the Ultramarines have had a long history of actually working alongside Xenos, and Robert Gilliman himself is actually dear friends of a Xeno. I've always wondered how this is exactly going to play out between the other chapters and the Novamarines. Like, what will they do when they're just trapped, they're getting absolutely bombarded, and Robert Gilliman tells them, the Eldar are here to help us. And then Novamarine says, not on your life, Primarch. Sorry there, Daddy-O. I know you're hung like LeBron James, but I'm sorry, man. I'm going to have to stop you right there and just kill this Eldar woman. I do not care what you say. Like, I always want to see that kind of conflict pop up. Like, maybe a Novamarine goes, Robert Gilliman, you must be confused. Oh, you must have got hit by Fulgrim again. It's okay, we'll take care of the Eldar lady for you. Don't worry, Primarch. Just go hide somewhere again in stasis for another 10,000 years. Just full on tells him, hey man, you must be delusional if you're allying with the Xeno in front of me, of all people. Kind of like when Ezekiel Abaddon bitched out Horus when Horus was offering to work with the Interacts. Oh my god. That would be awesome to see that. Except done to Robert Gilliman. That would be so great. Besides that, it's been Free to 700. I'm out. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned quite a bit about the Novamarines. Besides that, this has been Free to 700. And as always, comment down below what you guys think. Maybe you guys learned something new. Maybe you guys enjoyed the commentary. Besides that, see y'all next time.